New York, let's get right to what America's talking about. Justice may not be blind after all, especially when the president's enemies are in the line of sight. The feds are said to be nearing a decision on charges against James Comey, accusing him of lying to Congress on the handling of the Russia investigation. The former FBI director has long said that he testified truthfully. The testimony happened back in 2020. And since the law requires any charge within 5 years, the DOJ now only has literally a few days before that deadline expires. But here's the important fine print in all of this. This is coming after Donald Trump publicly demanded that his attorney general charge Comey and other political rivals. Now, it's important to note, this is the same district in which Trump said that he fired a prosecutor for failing to find enough evidence against Letitia James, the attorney general in New York. Now, it's being run by one of Trump's former lawyers who has never prosecuted a case. And Dan Abrams, a case like this against Jim Comey, 5 years old, over an allegation of perjury, I would have to think that they would have to actually be able to prove that he did in fact lie, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, there's no question that this is political and this is under pressure. But the more important question is there a crime, right? Regardless of the motives, et cetera. I've looked into all the statements that Comey made in front of Congress. And it's hard to figure out exactly which one they're going to be talking about where he supposedly didn't tell the truth. Because if it's specifically with regard to the Russia investigation, it's probably going to be something he said he doesn't recall and doesn't remember. And that doesn't ring a bell. Those sorts of answers. As a legal matter, that's tough to win a prosecution in a perjury case when the answer was, I don't recall or I don't remember. Now, there are other statements that were made. Maybe that becomes the subject of it. But none of them, it seems, it's the level of a crime. And remember, this isn't new, right? It's not just that this has been investigated. It's that the Inspector General actually came out with a full report looking at what Comey said, what was his fault, what was McCabe's fault, et cetera. And some of that IG report is what's regularly cited by many on the right for the wrongdoing and the mistakes made by the FBI.
But it's not only can you prove it's a crime, because one of the things that the DOJ has to, it's in their memorandum, it's in their rules and regulations, you have to be able to not only sustain this charge and find them guilty in front of a jury, but this actually asks a more basic question as a lawyer is there even probable cause? I mean, you have individuals right now who are lawyers, who are trial lawyers, who are prosecutors, who have been there for decades, who've written a memo to this individual, to this new U.S. attorney stating that they don't even believe it's probable cause to arrest him or to bring charges. So to jump from probable cause to the ability to actually prove him guilty in front of a jury is a long jump. I mean, the fact is, there is no daylight between Donald Trump and the Department of Justice. Absolutely none. And that is a very, very dangerous precedent to set.
It also probably doesn't help that he publicly said that he fired the U.S. attorney in that office for not prosecuting his political opponents. He also then said that he thinks that they should be going after Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia faster because, in his view, time is of the essence. Trump is giving away the game here, but he might also be making prosecutors' lives more difficult.
Well, I think we go back. I think, Bakari, you probably said this, that Comey originally politicized the DOJ and FBI back in 2016. So Democrats who have outrage now, we just need to calm down because you guys, like,
they were outraged then, but just to be fair, they were outraged then when he did that press conference
when you think he's honest or not.
Let me ask a question about politicization, right? The claim is that Comey was out to get Trump, right, and he was politicized against Trump. If that were the case, how do you explain him opening up the Hillary Clinton investigation? There are two parts to this question. Two parts.
And he couldn't go to his country club.
Let me finish the two parts. Number one part is 11 days before the election, right? He reopens Hillary Clinton. Number two, and maybe the most important point, the actual investigation, the Russia investigation into Donald Trump doesn't get leaked. James Comey didn't leak it. No one at the FBI leaks it. If they're out to get Trump, have someone leak a little something about this Russia investigation.
Donald Trump literally has had a mugshot because of the witch hunt against him.
But again, respond to my point.
I am. Yeah. James Comey, and one of the things I think people very clearly, if you watch him in his own words, he's very proud of the politicalization of what he did to attack Donald Trump. A great example was him grandstanding when he was sitting there on a forum talking about, I sent a couple FBI agents into the White House because I could, and the Trump administration didn't know what protocol was, so I took advantage of their ignorance or trust to go after General Flynn, to try to go after Donald Trump and get something on Donald Trump. And they were like, everyone was shocked he did it.
Wait,
but is he grandstanding when he reopens the Hillary Clinton investigation?
Everybody else.
No, but that's a long preamble to make the
point. What
point.
does General Flynn have to do with Donald Trump?
It's not about General Flynn. It's about James Comey.
Yeah, but that case had nothing to do with Donald Trump. The one that you just referenced did not. That was
so what
that
did
was
it do with it? Because it was clearly trying to get something on the Trump White House. It absolutely was.
What's the evidence that it's on the Trump White House as opposed to Flynn?
That was
I go back to. If you go back to what he had said about it,
and
if you look at
everything you said is true,
right? It is true.
But if you go back to Flynn and he's bragging about it.
No, he's going after people in the Trump White House to try to undermine Trump. And by the way, let's be clear. James Comey knew for a fact that the Steele dossier was crap. It had been classified by the FBI as, quote, user-generated.
I know the Steele dossier is always you got to go back to it's always about the Steele dossier, no matter what.
Because it was total crap. But again, and he knew it, and the FBI said it was, and they still used it.
You can see that that's being politicized.
They still used it to go after Donald Trump. And that is a fact. And the FBI had said it was total user-generated. They offered him $1 million.
Steele dossier.
That is the entire thing that James Comey was over.
Tell me then, what's the answer to my question? If he's so politicized, how is it that 11 days before the election he announces he's reopening the Hillary Clinton investigation? Hang on a second. And part B,
because I think he realized he was in such a bad position that he needed to cover a little bit, and that was the bare minimum he had to do.
And they didn't leak the Russia investigation because
I think they didn't believe that Donald Trump was going to win. Everyone thought. Hold on. How many people thought Donald Trump was going to win the 2016 election?
Ben, I think your timeline is really like a little warped here.
Please,
because
tell me, fix it.
the first offense, according to you all, the first offense is one not against Donald Trump, but against Hillary Clinton at a critical point, one that arguably helped Donald Trump win the election. So if anything, Donald Trump should probably be thanking James Comey for his help.
But time out.
There was a cover your ass moment, and that was James Comey days before the election. By the way, he also then, after he won, said, all right, we're just going to lie about Trump and go after him anyway.
That's not the segment. Let me get you back to the producers are trying to get you. That's not the segment.
I can't wait to hear what the segment is.
You have rattled on, and you haven't listed one crime that James Comey committed or probably committed.
Can I
answered the question. I'm happy to tell you the crime. He lied to Congress.
Hold on, let me let Adam get a word in.
Yeah, I like how Ben tried to invoke Trump's mugshot as some sort of proof or some sort of way to handwave this, which you're conceding in that they are politicizing the government. You're not even denying, neither the conservatives on this panel are denying that Trump is politicizing the government. You just invoke Trump's mugshots.
No, I didn't. I said that.
Is there a
single?
Can you show me a tweet from Biden asking his DOJ or asking his Attorney General? So there's no tweet from Biden asking his Attorney General to
Joe
directly
Biden
go after
didn't tweet much. He also didn't President.
Is there any line from President Biden saying go after these three people? If you can't point that to me, then you invoking Trump's mugshot is trying to both sides this when this is a clear weaponization of the DOJ.
What Biden did, he wrote a letter going after parents in Virginia and putting them on an FBI watch list. He went after Catholics.
You can't point me to a single example of Biden
or the IRS when they went after people.
Let's just back up a second. This is the first time we've heard this. Let me finish what I'm saying. So Trump ran an entire campaign talking about this. The Americans voted for this. So Americans were sick and tired of
a radical FBI that went after.
Let me ask you a question.
100%. So this is not a surprise that we're sitting here.
Hunter Biden was being investigated during Biden's term. Do you think Don Jr. would ever be investigated by Pam Bondi?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Wait, hold on. If he did a crime, I think, yeah.
No, he would not.
By the way,
Donald Trump Jr.
The Biden crime family.
You know that's not true.
Wait, let's be clear.
Yes.
Let's be clear about Hunter Biden and what Hunter Biden did.
No,
if Don
that wasn't the
was
question.
sitting on the board of Burisma right now
Pam Bondi wouldn't do
and was taking massive amounts of money, I have no doubt. Again, I actually think that lost matters.
Hold on one second. It's just too many people talking at one time. Make your comments so that we can actually hear it.
Yeah, if you had Don Jr. painting paintings and selling them for six figures, but by the way, nobody else right now. I absolutely believe there would be an investigation because honestly, I don't think that my side is to do things like that.
Tom Homan was found taking $50,000 bribes. Where's the investigation? Will you call for an investigation on Tom Homan?
So now he's just immediately convicted by you.
That's a little different.
No, I'm saying
thank you. I think we're being intellectually honest on that. That is the biggest BS line of the night.
But I don't think there's any argument that Trump and his family are profiteering off the White House. There's no question about whether or not it's crypto scams, whether or not it's
finger painting.
Whether or not that's not
They're not sending them border Burisma.
That's not the
They're
point.
not taking
though.
money
So
from
Ben,
that is not the point.
Hold on, are you suggesting that the nature of
the crime
I'm not calling it a
saying
crime.
that
I don't
the
want
Trump
to listen.
family was
I'm not suggesting it's a
successful
crime. The
before he became
nature of the
president.
profiteering
In the
off
crypto
the
business?
presidency is the thing that is the distinction, not the profiteering.
I think what you have with the Trump family is successful individuals
Bullshit.
that actually made money, and their most successful things in life weren't what Hunter Biden was doing.
We also
which
do
was
know
hookers
that the
and
Trump
blow.
family is influencing policy and then directly profiting from that policy.
Correct.
That is happening right now in broad daylight. The president himself
So what law
is
are you
profiting
saying
off
tonight
that.
that we're breaking?
We're not, but
I didn't-
Okay, so you're just saying he's not breaking the law,
Ben,
but you want to trash
Ben,
the Trump
hold on a
family.
second.
Got it.
I literally said I'm not going to call it a crime, but I'm just saying if you're talking about profiteering, you just use that
Hunter
word.
Biden
There's
had
profiteering
to get a
happening
pardon,
right
and
now.
It was like the
entire
only
family
pardon
did.
that the
The
president
entire
actually
family.
signed,
All right.
Abby.
One thing,
He
Kristin,
actually
that
signed it.
you
He
brought
didn't use
this
the
up.
opt-in.
You said, I mean, you tried to compare this to allegedly the Biden DOJ going after.
He did. He
parents.
wrote letters.
But hold on. But
4 years
hold on.
ago.
Are you suggesting though that you're fine with this? You're fine with Trump going after his political
I'm
enemies?
suggesting that to compare this, the weaponization of DOJ and FBI against President Trump, to compare to like, oh well, Biden, didn't do anything. No, Biden actually went after
But
Americans.
you're fine with it.
First of all, that's
But hold on.
that's
Are you
apples
fine
and
with this?
kangaroos.
You're not even
That's not
denying
Hold on.
it.
Hold on, guys. I want to just. I got to get an answer.
We
to the
need
question.
to let this go. If Comey lied, if Comey broke the law, then yeah.
So
he
what
should be
about
found guilty.
Donald
Now, I
Trump? So
do think-
Donald Trump says, I want you to go after, and he names them by name, Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia. You are fine with him naming people without there being evidence, no indictments.
But not only that,
and
but
saying that they
I
should
don't,
get
I don't,
prosecuted.
I
Give
don't,
the
I
whole
don't think you
chronology.
can be here as a responsible journalist and say there's no evidence. Let it go.
Listen,
No,
really
just
have the
all I'm
words.
saying,
But that's not what-
all I'm saying
We
is
have the
that
words on the record.
if there is
But he
evidence, there would
literally-
be an indictment.
have
But
There's
he
no
literally,
evidence.
You were sitting
but he
here.
literally, but excuse me, he literally pressured his attorney general and fired a United States attorney
That's
who would
normal.
not,
So
who would
you-
time out.
4 days
Who would-
before the statute of limitations.
Who would, that is not normal for a president. In
Presidents
fact,
have the right to fire. them.
no,
They have the
I know that. That's not what I'm trying
This
to.
is the wrong
That
key
it was.
to make.
Thank
I
you. Can I
understand.
finish? Can I
You
finish?
guys- yeah,
Can I
yeah.
finish? Presidents do have the
Last
right
word,
to
Bakari.
fire U.S. attorneys when they get elected. We see it happen. Bill Clinton
Or
had a
during
mass
the time.
firing.
We need to find another
Can we
case
finish
to
a
make-
thought,
Kristin,
please?
can we let
Because
him
I know you
finish? We
guys
gotta
are wrong
go.
on
Go
this
ahead,
and you want to
Bakari.
fight back. But my only point is, if you go out of your way to not only tweet what you're about to do, which he said, going after people, and then you fire the U.S. attorney, the
Yeah, the U.S. attorney.
the U.S. attorney, thank you, I was about to say attorney general, the U.S. attorney that would not carry out your wishes, don't you have a problem with that?
I think that you need
Yes
to
or
find
no
a
question?
different case than James Comey, who you said
Yes or
Trigg
no?
should replace.
Yes or no?
All right, we
Kristen's
got to
right
leave it
that
there.
It was promised.
It was.
I mean, this
It
is
was
this,
promised.
this,
He
is
ran
what-
on this.
this is
Gotta
where
leave it
Kristen's
there.
right. Is
Next
that this
for
was part of the
us.
campaign?
It
And-
certainly
and
was.
70 million
The president and his administration is now blaming the left for another deadly shooting in America, and this one at an ICE facility. And despite images of anti-ICE casings, the left doesn't trust the FBI. Plus, Jimmy Kimmel's audience soars in his return as the vice president contradicts his boss on the government's role in Kimmel's suspension.